Hey guys, I don't really do this and I'm not really comfortable with this per se, but I'm trying to change that about me. I think that I should start talking about things that do make me uncomfortable, and I think it's important to address these issues that are going on in the country that I live in and that I was born in, and that I have most of my identity assigned to. I don't want to say, I guess, yeah, like a big part of my identity is being American, Asian American. And so I think it's time that I start talking about stuff like this. I really do think it's important. I do think it's important to share my opinions because I think I can help. I don't know how much I can help, but at least I can do something. I do have people that watch my videos, and if it can do anything, then I think it's important. I think it matters. So I'm not going to talk too much. Let's just go straight into this video. This is from ABC. I don't know. I don't watch the news much anymore. I just don't. I'm trying to stay away from negativity and bad news and things like that. But this is from the Bay Area, and they're talking about the spike in anti-Asian hate crimes. So let's just go into it and see what happens.
Zareen Shah looks at what may be behind the violence and what's being done about it.
This week, Bay Area law enforcement ramping up ahead of the Lunar New Year after a string of violent attacks against elderly Asian.
Okay, first of all, I just think it's kind of silly that it's happening during the Chinese New Year. I guess people seeing that Chinese people or Asian people are celebrating this thing, it's kind of like, oh, let's ruin their thing, because it's all your fault. Why are you being all happy that this whole situation of 2020 and 2021, I don't want to say the thing because I think I might shadow ban me. I don't know what happens these days, but yeah, I just think it's kind of
Americans. In one case, a 70-year-old grandmother was pushed to the ground and beaten.
She did get like really bad bruises.
The group Stop Asian American Pacific Island.
The reporter was like cross, like, just, maybe there's something that I can say to prove you wrong. Try to convince me. Why do people get so defensive about talking about this? It's not like, unless maybe the girl that she's interviewing, in that particular part was saying something that was accusatory, but come on, like.
An American Pacific Islander hate says since mid-March of last year until the end of 2020, they received over 2,800 accounts of anti-Asian hate attacks from across the country, some of them blaming the anti-Asian rhetoric from former President Donald Trump.
It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. Yeah, please, John.
Okay, so, all right, there's a huge debate about whether or not saying something is race, like what, Trump said China virus, right? And he said the virus is from China, it's from China. There's nothing racist about that. On paper, yes, I mean, people can say that saying China virus there's nothing racist about it, but the times have changed, and I think people need to understand that the times have changed. So there's a different standard now in modern times, and we all know that. We're not living in the 70s or 80s where you could say something like Oriental or Ching Chong, and it wouldn't even, no one would even bat an eye. I don't know what it was like back then, but maybe it was different. But now it's a different time. So we're talking about now in modern times, we all kind of have an agreement that, okay, we're not going to say something like that. Right, we're not going to call the virus a China virus because we don't call viruses from a specific region anymore. We did that before. We said that was Spanish flu, and we said that with a lot of things maybe. I don't know. But I don't know why Spanish, Spain was like isolated in that incident where they, everyone called it Spanish flu, but now we don't. We kind of have an unspoken agreement that we're not going to call it China virus because it would be labeling something, or we would label the Chinese people a certain way that isn't positive. It's not going to help Chinese people when you say that. And by no means am I defending anybody. I'm just saying, like, this is what happened. Like, this is why people are getting crazy about it. I'm not making much sense right now. It doesn't help that I'm saying that either. Okay, so to clear it up, what I'm saying is, like, the times have changed. Calling something the China virus is, like, it's not on paper racist, but it can be perceived as that because, you know, we all agreed that it was going to be called COVID-19. That's an unspoken rule. I didn't agree on it. I wasn't at the meeting where they said, okay, let's call it the COVID. But I can see why people would see this in a bad light. It's because the times have changed, so you can't really use that term because in this modern time, it's just, it seems like a passive aggressive or it seems like an aggressive attack on somebody. And also, the biggest thing, I think, the reason why people thought Trump saying China virus was racist is because the tone in which he said it. Because most of communication is not just the words being said, it's your body language, it's your facial expression, it's the way your mouth moves, it's the tone of how it's being said. And it's a very negative, there's a subtle, it's an undertone of negativity, and there's a negative connotation to the way it's being said, which is why it's perceived as racist. But I keep seeing people say, like, oh, it's not racist because, it came from China. That's a China virus. On paper, yes, I agree, on paper, but when you communicate and look at video and look at how things are being communicated, you can see that there isn't a positive way in which that's communicated. If he said it in just a completely neutral tone, I might even just be like, whatever. Like, I don't see the negative intent in it, but clearly in those videos you can see there's a negative intent, which is why when he was saying that, it creates more of a widespread anti-Asian sentiment, which is why you see a spike in Asian hate after he's saying those things. And I'm not saying it's, I don't have an opinion about the matter, not yet. I haven't formed one. I'm just saying that's probably what happened. So let's keep going.
One Bay Area community resident telling ABC's Kana Whitworth the violence is getting worse.
The frequency is much higher, the number is much higher, and the attack is more severe and more serious. And it's getting more violent.
Oakland police later arrested a 28-year-old man who they believe is also responsible for attacking this 91-year-old man and 2 other Asian Americans in the community. Now prominent Asian American Hollywood actors are speaking out. Daniel Wu and...
I think it's just really, like, I'm just gonna say it's cowardly. Why would you attack elderly people? And why are they targeting elderly people? They're the most vulnerable of anybody. Like, I'm not saying like we should attack anybody, but attack somebody like me, like attack me. Don't attack an elderly person. Don't attack anybody. I'm not saying attack anybody. Just don't attack anybody. But like, if you had to attack someone, why would you attack an elderly person? That doesn't make sense to me. It's like they're the most vulnerable people. It's really sad to see that. I really wish that I could talk to you and be like, hey man, like, what's wrong? What's going on in your life? Because, man, you have to be in a dark place to attack an elderly person who's very vulnerable.
Daniel Day Kim offering $25,000 to support the community.
I love Daniel Day Kim.
That it's not one community against another. It's everyone versus racism.
President Joe Biden also signed an executive order to combat hate against Asian Americans.
Unity and healing must begin with understanding and truth, not ignorance and lies.
Many fear the attacks could continue as we approach the Lunar New Year Friday.
And that's a sad thing for us because this is a time normally to rejoice and to be happy. But right now everyone's in fear and anxiety.
Oakland Chinatown Chamber of Commerce president cites over 20 hate incidents against Asian Americans in recent weeks, but he says there could be even more because this community is often afraid to come forward.
We know you've got your hand.
Okay, yeah, so I just think that, whoa, this is kind of creepy. Why is there, what the heck?
Hands full at home.
I'm building a spaceship.
So Instacart
That was creepy. I don't know. Okay. Asian kid with a tinfoil hat in a box in the dark. Kind of reminded me of The Grudge a little bit. So all I'm going to say about this video is that my solution to these issues that are going on in the news right now with, like, you know, anti-Asian hate and crime and things like that is that I think we have to solve this by speaking up. Like, we have to just address the issue. We have to, because the reality is we are Asian, we are Asian American, whatever. If you're watching this, you're Asian American. We have to speak up. Like, this is the only way we can solve this problem, is speak up and fight back and to defend ourselves and learn how to defend ourselves, learn self-defense. Like, I know some people say, like, hey, why do we have to learn these things? It's because the reality of the situation is that Asian people are being attacked. So you got to be prepared. You got to, if you're Asian and you're living in America, this is your situation. This is a situation for a lot of people, right? And you know, and most of us just want to live in America, this awesome country, and be able to enjoy it like every other American. But the reality is we look different, and people see that we look different and will treat us differently because of the way we look. That's just the reality of things. And right now, Asian people are being targeted specifically for things I don't want to talk about, because that's a whole nother thing. But we are being attacked, and so right now we got to just be prepared. We got to be self-aware. You got to be aware of your surroundings. And if you're not Asian, if you're somebody who lives in America or anywhere, is to speak up as well. If you feel bothered by the situation, share a video, share a post on your social media, explain why this is an issue and why we should fix this and why it should stop, because this is ridiculous. We can be better than this. We can be totally better than this. It's not something that should be happening. Elderly people who are trying to live their lives shouldn't just be attacked in the middle of the street. I don't know if they deserve it or not. It doesn't matter to me. They're human beings. Like, physically assaulting somebody in the middle of the street isn't right, because there could be somebody who's just innocent, who's just trying to live their life, that could be a receiver of this attack, and that's not fair for that person. And these things are creeping closer and closer to home, because for me, I have been worried about it all through 2020. I've been worried about it, and it really fucks with the mental health and shit like that. So, guys, it sucks. It's a shitty situation, I understand, but all we can do is do what we can to control this. We can control what we can control, and what we can control is being aware of our surroundings, carry self-defense, carry mace, learn how to use mace. That's something I still have to do. I carry mace, but I don't know how to use it. I sprayed it before on grass, but I could be better about learning more self-defense, and I have been learning more. I've been learning about how to defend myself. I've read books about it, so that's something I encourage everybody else to do as well. But right now it's a shitty thing. I feel sorry for everybody who's affected by these things, and we gotta do our best to prevent the situation, stop it finally, and just stop what's going on. That's what we gotta do. All right, thanks for watching. Especially if you don't feel like this even applies to you, thank you for just watching the video and just learning something about what's going on in the news and stuff. But I hope that this is the beginning for me to start opening up about stuff like this, because I did make a video about Black Lives Matter and racism should be stopped and things like that, and can't stop. And like, sometimes it gets corny over time. People keep spouting out the same thing. It's kind of like a script, but I'm trying to not make it like a script. I'm just trying to be a real person expressing how I feel about something. And you can tell, I think you can tell through this video that this is something that really does hit closer to home. and I'm just kind of, I don't like talking about it because I don't like that I even have to. Like I feel like I shouldn't even have to talk about something like this. I shouldn't even have to experience something like this, but it's the reality. So all we can do is try our best and do our best to stop the situation. All right, thanks for listening to me ramble. Very grateful for if you stuck through till the end of the video. I will catch you in the next video. All right.